We're on the bottom of Yudches Amud Beis. It's like 3 lines from the bottom, correct? Chaylis? Okay. Thank Hashem that we're able to learn Torah every day. It's first of all learning we should have the base of Migdash. Nishmas of the Golden Basper Benjamin and the sons of Ben Mitzin and Bush Lema. Ben Sarah, gets allows Father. Mary Mabel, Sarah. Okay. Mara says over here, Chalitz v'chaltzin, talking about the Kohen Gadol. But the Kohen Gadol can do chalitza. Is that actually how we said it? He can do chalitza, and he can do chalitza for his brother's wife, and his brother can do chalitza for his wife.
Never remarried.
Yeah. So then it goes on, and it says that his brother can do yibam on the Kohen Gadol's wife, but he's not able to do yibam on his brother's wife, his brother's widow, because that would be marrying a widow, and a Kohen Gadol can't marry a widow. Gemara says kapasik v'tani, says that he can't marry the widow, and it's kapasik is translated as it was brief, like very quickly he ruled, Mishnah ruled and taught that he can't marry his brother's widow. It doesn't matter if it's if his brother was actually married or only betrothed to that woman. The difference would be if they had relations before. If they were only betrothed, then that means that they were sort of like engaged, but they didn't live together yet. So now the thing is like this. Yeah, both of them would require, they were considered married, and if she lived with someone else, that would be considered adultery. And if they wanted to separate, it would require a get. The only thing is that the rules of Yibam apply to both of them, whether she was fully married or only betrothed. The problem is that Bishlam and Nisuin, if the brother was married to this woman and then the brother died, so then there's 2 prohibitions, a positive and a negative, for the Kohen Gadol to marry that woman. The positive prohibition is that the neglect of the positive command is he's supposed to marry a basula, a virgin, a woman that was the man never had relations with her. And the negative prohibition is that he's not allowed to marry a widow, and she has both of those, right? She's not a virgin, but she was married, and she's a widow. So that would be a positive and a negative prohibition that he'd be violating if he did the mitzvah of Yibam. So it's one mitzvah of Yibam against a positive mitzvah of Yibam against a positive and a negative. And we have a rule. It doesn't always have to be there. She's married. No, but it's first day as well. That's betrothed. If she's married, that means that she's not a basula, right? So, and the rule is positive mitzvah doesn't push off a positive and a negative. It can push off a negative, but it can't push off a positive. And since the positive is that he's commanded to marry a virgin, she's not a virgin. Okay, so that's why he's not allowed to do yibam on his brother's wife. But if it's Eirsin, it's only betrothed, then why? What's going on over here? Yava Yasei, let the mitzvah of Yibam come, and push away the negative prohibition of not marrying a widow. And that's the rule, is that a positive overrules the negative. The Gemara says,
gets expelled.
Sorry?
As we said, a Kohen Gadol gets expelled.
You mean if he kills, he gets exiled?
Yeah. Then could he marry?
I think he's still a Kohen Gadol. I don't know. I think so. The Gemara says, "Gzeira be a rishena to be a shneya." Yeah, what is it?
It's just bad.
Gzeira be a rishena to be a shneya. The mitzvah of Yibam would only be the first time they have relations. After that, it would not be the mitzvah of Yibam. There, it's just husband and wife, but that's not the mitzvah of Yibam.
Wasn't it bringing a child?
That's a good question. Well, that's a good question. That part of the mitzvah of Yibam is to upkeep the namesake of the brother. And so therefore, what do you want to ask?
They're talking about just.
So the Rishonim asked the question, they spell it out. They say that since the Gemara says that a woman never becomes pregnant from the first relations, so it won't be the first relations that's going to be upkeeping the namesake. It would have to be the second relation. Okay, so the mitzvah would be from the second one. But after that, then there would be no mitzvah. So it gets pushed off one step. So yeah, but the same answer is going to apply, right? The same answer is going to apply is that there's a gzeira that if they have the first relations, they may have the second one, which really means, according to the way Hillel is asking the question, if they have the second one, they may have the third, which Hillel is asking. But about if she's not pregnant? So it's the case. If they have the third, then they have the fourth. They may have the fourth. So there's a decree that there may be an extra relations which isn't necessary for the upkeep of the namesake of the brother. Yeah, but whatever the case is, there's a gzeira that they may not stop at the time when that's the right. That's the okay. They really ask another. They say that the real mitzvah of Yibam is not even the relations. The mitzvah of Yibam is the hara. It's just the beginning of the relations. It's not even the end of the relation. So then, what the Gemara really means is that the gzeira is the beginning of the relation, but then that would contradict the upkeep of the child, the namesake. Okay, but the answer of the Gemara fits because the idea is that if they start, they may not stop, and when they're supposed to. Tanya Namiyachi is also taught in Reb Naftali. You wanted to ask something? Tanya Namiyachi was taught in a braysim. Kadmo balu b'yirishayna kano, v'asr l'kaiman b'biyashniya. That if he did have relations with his sister-in-law, his brother's widow, so then he acquires her as a wife in the first with the first relations. However, he can't keep her for the second relations because then the mitzvah is already over, and he's a kohen gadol. He's not allowed to be married to a widow.
Even at that time, they didn't have the consolation.
Even at that time of three ways for kedushin, for betrothal. Now they're married. A marriage isn't going to be with money. The marriage is going to be with the chuppah or a relation. The house, taking her into the house is the marriage.
What happens to the wife? She gets
yeah, she would have to get divorced. She would have to divorce him. Okay. Mace. If the kohen gadol has a relative that passes away, so we said that the first opinion in the Mishnah was that he doesn't go to that he can go to the funeral, but he can't be together with everyone else. As he's going out, they turn. When they turn, he can get to the road behind them. They're always a block away from him. And then Rabbi Yehuda's opinion was that Min HaMikdash Layetze, he doesn't leave the temple at all. So Tana Rabbanan, Min HaMikdash Layetze, doesn't leave the temple. Layetze imahem. It means he doesn't go with them. But he can still go after them. Ketzad, how does that work? Hein nichnasen v'hu nigla. Hein nichsen v'hu nigla. Hein niglen v'hu nichsen. They're concealed and he's revealed and they're concealed, which means every block he's always one block behind as they turn. So in other words, he's not supposed to mingle with the group of mourners. Yetziad Pesach, and he continues to go until the gates of the city, and then that's where Rabbi Yehuda comes in and says, no, he's not allowed to leave the base of English. Talking about the kohen gadol going to a funeral. of a relative. So it says, Rabbi Yehuda quotes the pasuk, "Min hamikdash lo yetze." He's not supposed to leave the temple. The Gemara says, "Shaper kamer Rabbi Yehuda." Rabbi Yehuda has a good point. He quotes a verse. Quotes the verse. Shouldn't leave the temple, and then we're saying, Reb Meir says no, he's allowed to leave the temple. Well, Amalach Reb Meir. Reb Meir would respond to Rabbi Yehuda. He would say, if you think the verse means literally that he's not allowed to leave the temple, then he then he shouldn't even be able to go home. How does he go home? He can't leave the temple. In the Mikdash Layetze. It must be that that's not what the pasuk means. So what does the pasuk mean? The pasuk means mina mikdash layetze mikdushase layetze. You shouldn't go out, not mikdash, as in the location, but you shouldn't leave the kedusha, which means you shouldn't do anything that will compromise his sanctity. So kivan de islay hakera, since the way he's doing it is he's always going to be a block behind. He's not going to end up touching the coffin because he's staying away from the other mourners. Rabbi Yehuda, what does Rabbi Yehuda say? I got mirire or marire till the mikri vasvinaga. Rabbi Yehuda is concerned. Also, he also learns the pasuk the same way. That means that he's not allowed to leave his sanctity, but he's concerned that because he's so embittered in the morning, he may end up mingling and touching the coffin.
So this distance is not only for someone, it's kind of like a
Preventative, yeah. Preventative.
They were battle people, yeah, they were battle.
Yeah, that's a problem. But the Kainim were allowed to go to battle, right? Were the Kainim allowed to go to battle? There was a Kayan.
It says also that Eli's
Right, Eli's children went to battle. That's a good point.
I remember you mentioned it was last week that they would appoint a special point order
Right.
to tell people.
Yeah, but that was a speech. That was a speech. They didn't have to actually,
You guys go to war.
Well, maybe the answer is that
Like the chief here.
it was a battle with non-Jews, and even though non-Jews give off impurity, that may only be rabbinic. Maybe just get pushed off.
But it was like with contact.
Right. With contact. Say they went to battle, they were only the archers. Okay. Now the Gemara. Yeah, they cooked rice for the army. Menachem, there's a guy over here that was kicked out of the army. You know the story. He said, says they give him a kitchen job. It was in the Israeli army. He says, I want to kill the Arabs. I don't want to cook rice. They kicked him out. So we don't want to like this. This is not the morale that we want, Anyway. Anyway.
You don't even have to play crazy.
Right. So Menachem, when he's consoling Tanur Rabbanan, it says, what we said was that there was a mamuna, like a deputy Kohen Gadol, assistant Kohen Gadol, that would stand to his right when he would be. Mishnah says, so everyone, the mamuna would sandwich him between him and the people. And okay, it would sandwich him to be between the mamuna and the people. And now the Brisa elaborates. It says, when he was going, you know what the word shura is? Shura is a line, and it was like a procession, a line that would comfort the mourners. We do this. We do this at the cemetery if there's a minyan there. So then the mourners stand I'm sorry, the comforters stand and the mourners walk through the line. They have the on both sides, usually put the men on one side and the women on the other, and the mourners walk through. And as they're walking through, they say, "Hamakim Menachem Eschem," they comfort them. That's the way it's done. It's done a little differently in a shul. If there's a mourner in the shul, sometimes they're in the house. If the mourner comes to shul, then like towards the door or something, the mourner will sit there and everyone will walk by as on their way out, and they'll walk by and they'll comfort them. So that's the opposite. That's the people walking by the mourners. In the cemetery, it's the mourners walking by the people. So anyway, you'll see it's interesting how this plays out, because
they're walking by.
Here it's the people are walking by the mourners. So it says when the Kohen Gadol is walking to comfort the mourners, Sgan Mashuach Sha'avar B'Minai. The Sgan, that's the deputy, right? The assistant. And the Mashuach Sha'avar is if there was a Kohen Gadol that became Tameh on Yom Kippur. So there was a second Kohen Gadol that was there ready to replace him. Now he replaced him only for that day. After that day, so then the Kohen Gadol went back in. So he was this Kohen Gadol that was Kohen Gadol for a day, that he already tasted that I could do that job too. So yeah, I could do that. But anyway, he's called Mashuach Sha'avar, but he has a significance, and he accompanies the Kohen Gadol. Sagana Mashuach Sha'avar B'Yamina, they stand at his right. Reish Beisav, the head of that weekly family that was the Kainim were divided into 24 families. The Avelim and the mourners, they would be on his left. But I guess the way that he walked this way, so he would pass by the people and the Avelim on this side, not walk that way. They would be on his right. He would walk this way and pass by them, with them on his left. And when he was standing in the row and others were comforting him because he lost a relative, he only has the Sagan, which means the deputy, was on his right. And everyone else was on his left. So they would walk by him this way, the opposite. They would walk by him this way, and they would come by. It doesn't say that the Mashuach Sha'avar, that the one that was appointed for a day would come together would be there. It says, my time, what's the reason for that? He didn't want him to feel bad. The Kohen Gadol would feel bad if he was there. Because it looks like maybe he's laughing at me. Once he already had the job once. Maybe he's happy that his relative died. The Kohen Gadol doesn't want someone to be happy that's his relative died. He said, okay, maybe this Kohen Gadol will be next. Maybe I'll get the job next. It's something, right? He could replace him. He replaced him already once. So and to actually say in Shulchan Aruch, there's a Ramah that writes that someone that was in a conflict should not be Menachem Aval, should not go to the funeral. One of those, I forget if it's Menachem Aval, to the funeral. If you're in a fight with someone, you don't go to comfort the mourners. So here also there's like this little concern not to okay. Papa says this price teaches us three things. The Mishnah spoke about a Mamuna. The Brisa speaks about a Sagan, but it's the same person. So we've learned that the Sagan and the Mamuna is the same from that discrepancy. We also see that the mourners are standing and everyone is walking, which is different than the way we do it. We have the mourners walking and everyone stands. Also we learn that the mourners stand to the left of the comforters. He said the Kohen Gadol walks by this way. They were on his left when he was consoling them. Tanur Rabbanan was taught in a Brisa Originally, originally the Avelim would stand and everyone would pass by, which is the way we learned it in our brisa. And there were two families in Yerushalayim that were arguing. This one said, says, I'm going first. This one says, I'm going first. So they switched it. They said, because we didn't want fights breaking out in front of the Avelim. So this is a weird story. What they're usually you would assume that in the house of mourners people get a little more serious and they drop the pettiness, but apparently it's not always so. There's still pettiness. Who's gonna go first?
They tell death do us part.
Right.
Strings attached
Right.
forever.
They could have set it up, like we do at the stop signs. The person on the right can go first, But anyway, they switched the whole story. They said that the mourners will walk and the people will stand. Chazar v'halach v'siper siman. Okay, this is some halachas that we're going to get from Rabbi Yossi. Amar Rami bar Abba. Rami bar Abba taught Ichser Rabbi Yossi as a davar liyoshni b'tzipayri and tzipayri. Rabbi Yossi said it back to the original custom. So that everyone would be walking and the avelim would stand. Rami bar Abba. Rami bar Abba also taught Hiskin Rabbi Yossi b'tzipayri. That Rabbi Yossi instituted in tzipayri. Rabbi Yossi was exiled to tzipayri. In that story with Rav Shimon bar Yochai, remember? But Rabbi Yehuda said that the Romans are so great; they set up bridges, and Rabbi Yossi was quiet, and Rav Shimon bar Yochai said, "Oh no, they did it all for their own reason." And Rav Shimon got a death sentence. Right? He had to go hide in a cave. Rabbi Yossi got exiled. Rabbi Yossi was exiled to Tzipayri. So he was the Rav in Tzipayri. It says, a person's walking in the market, the child should not walk behind the woman. Because of a story that happened. Now, the Gemara doesn't tell us the story, but Rashi tells us the story. It must be that he heard it from his teachers, who heard it from the Gainim, who heard it from, the Mirayim, that there was a woman, the child was walking behind, and then the child was snatched away by some bad people. And the woman went screaming, looking at one of the people said, "I'll show you where he is." And so he took her into a room and he raped her there. So therefore, you should always have the child in front. There's no one. They could always see to protect the child. They shouldn't have that.
Well, they're on the scooters now, so they're faster. So you can see.
Now the fathers on scooters are faster than kids.
Yeah.
See me.
Don't cross the street. See ya.
Surprised there was a bacher in yeshiva that had a scooter. So what does that cost? It's $2,500. Is that typical? Yeah, it's like
They're getting.
like a used car. That's a used car.
That's right.
Spend the whole day by the hand. The scooter.
Right.
The car is 2,500.
Oh yeah, it has. You have to take it in every month. Right. Right. Yeah. Okay. And the third thing, Amar Rami bar Abba Hiskin Rabbi Yossi b'tzipayri. Rabbi Yossi instituted b'tzipayri she'nashim mesapris b'beis tisim shem yichad. The bathrooms used to be outside the city, the outhouse. So then a man would go there and he would go inside, go to the bathroom. But it could be there was a woman there. They didn't have separate bathrooms. It wasn't set up like that. So how should he know if there's a woman inside? If he goes inside, it could be yichud. So we run out. But it's also yichud even if there's two women. One man with two women, there's also yichud. Right? It's two men with one woman, which is not yichud. But and even then, it's not so simple. It depends in the city at night and all that.
The woman is a worker.
Yeah. Now, in order to avoid this yichud issue, Rabbi Yossi instituted that when women go to the bathroom, they should talk in the bathroom. And that way, the men should know that there's women inside. They'll hear their voices. They do. The girls go to the bathroom in groups.
Yep.
And then they hang out over there. Yeah. I don't know if they talk now because now they're on the phone. But traditionally they talk. They spoke in the bathroom. Amar Rav Menashe, the men the men you're not supposed to talk in the bathroom, but I think it means you're not supposed to talk while you're going to the bathroom. I don't know if you're not allowed to talk in the bathroom. Definitely the women are allowed to talk in the bathroom. And the men, I think, while they're going to the bathroom, are not supposed to talk. Remember that Gemara? That this guy knocked on the bathroom door or something, and the person like snorted, made a noise with his nose. No, he told him la'ayel. He told him, come in. Come in. He said, what? You went to Seir, you these bad customs, you talk in the bathroom. And he said, no, I thought maybe you needed to hurry because you're not supposed to hold it back. It could be dangerous. Okay. Amar Rabbi Nashi bar Rabbi Sheila says Rabbi Sheila says Rabbi Yoshia Rabba Beis Almin to Hutzel. Beis Almin sounds like the cemetery in Hutzel. I asked Rabbi Yoshia, Ramali, he said, ain't sure Pchusim Yasar B'nei Adam. If you're going to make that shura where you do nicham avelim, it has to be 10 people there. Vein avelim and a minion, but you don't count the avelim. It's 10 people besides for the avelim. Vein shavelim ma'imdim v'cholamim, vein shavelim ma'ivrim v'cholamim. Whether the avelim are standing and everyone is walking, or whether the avelim are walking and everyone is standing. In other words, the custom doesn't matter. If it was the original way or the new way or whatever, it's always 10 people. Doesn't matter how they do it. Okay. When he is being consoled, not when he's consoling others, but when people are consoling him, Kain Gadol, because he lost a relative. When he's consoling others, the Mishnah said what people tell him when they're consoling him. They say, Anu kaparasecha, we should be an atonement for you. In other words, anything that would happen to you should happen to us. Now, oh, good.
Remember the bathroom issue.
There's one right
I
here.
think the way we learned it was that was the original origin of the stall. That if the door was closed, it means someone was in there.
Right.
Therefore, when you leave it open, and therefore no talking should occur at all. And the problem there was that guy talked, which he didn't need to because the door was closed.
Oh.
I mean, that's how I remember it.
It could be those are two separate things, I think. Okay, anyway. But what happens when they're consoling, when he's consoling them? Tashima. So let's see what it says in the Brisa. And he says you should be consoled. What's going on? If it's when others are consoling him and he's going to respond, and he says that you should be consoled, that's like giving them a curse. They had nothing. They didn't have a relative that passed away, and he's telling them they should be consoled. That's the wrong comment, right? He said the wrong thing. It's only when he's consoling others. You should be consoled. Yeah, I was told that whenever you console the mourners, you have to mention Hashem, because only Hashem can give consolation. You have to say Amakim Menachem Eskim. Just to say Tisnechamu, you should be consoled isn't enough. So, but over here from this Gemara, it doesn't look like that. It doesn't say Hamakim something. It's just like.
You see that for all 11 or 12 months?
No, actually, I think just during Shiva. If you didn't, then I think for a parent, I think you can still do Nichem Avelim for 12 months. I think so. Something like that. Right. Okay, anyway. Melech Leidan. We come to a new topic over here. Now we finished. We said the Mishnah was divided into two halachas: halachas of a Kohen Gadol, halachas of a Melech. The Gemara explains the Mishnah. We've concluded the Kohen Gadol. Now we're up to the Melech. Melech Leidan. The king doesn't judge, and he also is not judged. Amar Rav Yosef. Rav Yosef says, "Leishon al Malchi Yisrael." That's only the kings of Israel. However, Malchi Beis David, but the kings of the house of David, done v'done in Isom. That answers all our questions that we had before. So what are you talking about? David HaMelech was sitting and judging, and you remember the story with the jug of honey and, with the coins. Remember all that good stuff? And the ladies coming to David to ask Shilas. Okay, turns out that Malchi Beis David, of course they judge. It's only in Malchi Yisrael that don't. Ksiv, it says in the pasuk, Beis David Kayamar Hashem Dinei LaBaiker Mishpat. Is so says Hashem, Beis David, his judgment in the morning, something like that. And if we can't judge him, then how is he could be a judge? We had this comment yesterday. It says you have to adorn yourself. Adorn yourself and adorn. First you have to correct yourself, and then you can correct others. So what's the reason why we don't accept judges, or not accept judges? We don't allow a Malchi Yisrael to be a judge, and we also don't judge him. Because there was a story, terrible story. The servant of Yanai. Yanai was a grandson of the. Wasn't a grandson. He was a. He was a grandson of the Chashmonai. It was a Chashmonai grandson. Yeah, I don't know the names, Aristobulus and Hyrcanus and whatever.
More troubles.
Anyway, Yanu ends up taking over. So, and he was married to Shleimus Bastian, right? It was Shimon ben Shattach's sister. Anyway, his servant had killed someone. Shimon ben Shattach says to the other sages, and let's make a judgment here. Let's take care of this. They sent him, your servant killed. So Shajilu, they sent a servant to go get judged. They sent back. You have to come as well. If an ox scores, the owner of the ox has to go to court as well. So you're the owner of the slave, you have to come as well. Interesting comparison. Asav Yasif, he comes and he sits. Amalishim ben Shattach, Yanai Amelach, Hamaid al Raglecha, King Yanai, stand up, Yidabach, will testify. You're not standing in front of us, you're standing in front of Hashem. How does the pasuk finish over there? Does it say like in front of Hashem or something in the pasuk? Okay, I guess the pasuk is not that they're standing in front of Hashem. The pasuk is that they have to stand. Oh, Lifnei Hashem. It says Lifnei Hashem. Okay, good. So the pasuk is telling me that they're standing in front of Hashem. Amar Lai, he said, I'm not listening to you. Let me listen to the rest of the court. So Nifna Liyamina, he says, I know you're my brother-in-law, and I know your sister, and I know your character. You're not afraid of anyone. But let's see what the rest of the court says. He turns to the right, wants to know, do they also say that Yana has to stand? They put their faces in the ground. Those they didn't want to look at him. They didn't want to. They were afraid. Nifla Smali looks to the left. Put their faces in the ground. Amar Lahan Shimon ben Shattach. So Shimon ben Shattach says to the sages, "Bali machshavasatem. Are you deep in thought? You're thinking. Yavei bal machshavas v'yiframikem. Let the master of thoughts come and punish you. Niyad ba Gabriel v'choftem mekarkim mesa. Gabriel came and pushed them into the ground and they died. That's all the sages died. They were afraid of Yanai.
Yeah.
At that time they said, Melech leidan, and I say, Leimid, and I say, king doesn't get involved in the court case. He doesn't have to come. He doesn't have to, and he also doesn't sit on the court. None of that. He
Why
doesn't
was
testify.
Yanai-
We don't testify against him. And that's an addition
Who
that
was
they add.
against
That
the Christian?
Yeah. Well, capital punishment could be 23, but let's assume that it's 71. I'm sorry. Maybe because he's a king.
Executive order.
Maybe. What do they say in the comments there? Do they say it was a Sanhedrin of 71 judges?
One capital letter and one exclamation point.
I was just thinking because I know that you mentioned it before.
Right.
That it's a person of
Yeah. Yeah. I'm just curious if this was a judgment against the king that would require more, but by a nasi, we said, right? Anyway,
It's also interesting that he didn't physically said Bala, whatever.
Yeah, well, this was Shimon ben Shatach that was saying it.
Yeah.
This wasn't, they weren't getting killed by Yanai. Shimon ben Shatach said, let the master of thoughts come and punish. And then Rabbi Yehuda says that if he wants to, he can. Right? That's what we learned in the Mishnah. If he wants to do chalitza, if he wants to do chalitza or to do yibam, he's allowed to. Means he can do that. Gemara asks the question. Ravashi says, 1 second. Even according to the opinion that says that a prince, that means a leader of a tribe, is allowed to forgo his own honor. That he's allowed to, someone standing in his place or something. He said, "Yeah, don't worry, it's fine. I don't mind." So, but melech shemachal al kvaydai, but a king is not allowed to. Ain't kvaydi machal. It's not. You can't forgo. He can't forgo his honor. To place a king, and the fear has to be on the people. So he's not allowed to fear. So now you're saying that we don't mind if you spit in front of we let this woman spit in front of the king, and take off his shoe and throw it and all of that. How is he allowed to just do that? It's the same tasa malach melech. Does mitzvah shiny because this is a mitzvah different. Okay, that's Rabbi Yehuda's view.
Hey Davis, same person.
Yeah. And this is yesterday's daf. So very nice chulu. We said that you can't marry the widow of a king. Comes along Rabbi Yehuda and says another king can marry the widow of the previous king. Tanya, starting on the Brayso. Amalei Rabbi Yehuda said to Rabbi Yehuda, Nashim Maruyas Lemi Beis HaMelech. See, Rabbi Yehuda quoted a pasuk. It says David says David married the widow of Shaul. That pasuk was when David had sent Uriah Achiti to get killed, and he had already taken Bathsheba, and Nasan Navi comes to him and he says the story with this person that has one sheep, a poor man, he has one sheep, and then he starts elaborating and he says, and you have the kings, the wives of the king, So in that he says, and you already have wives, and you took away that one wife from Uriah, Bathsheba. And the wives of your master are on your chest, right? So it means that he's married Shaul's wife. So they said back, no, it doesn't mean that you married Shaul's wives. It means that he married the women from the household of Shaul that were befitting for him. Who are they? Meirav and Michal. Those are the daughters of Shaul that were married to David. Now, Shaul Talmid of Esther Biasi. Students asked Rabbi Biasi, how did David marry two women? Meirav and Michal. Right?
Sister.
Two sisters. Amalahan. So Rav Yossi responded. Rav Yossi is Rav Yossi ben Chalaf. He is the author of the Jewish history book, the Seder Olam. He's got all the. So yeah, he has our history from Adam Rishon until his time, right?
Wow.
Amalahem Michal Achar Misas Meirav Nasa. Michal married. David married Michal after Meirav died. Rav Yeshua ben Karcha Rav Yeshua ben Karcha says no. Kiddushei Toyos Haylev Meirav. He never wasn't a real marriage to Meirav. That was all a mistake. Shenema, it says, Tanoas Ishti, give me my wife, as Michal Aser Arasti Li B'Meir Lisplishtim. This was already after Shaul passed away, and Michal was taken away. So he asked for Michal back. This was from the son that was alive, Shaul's son from Mephibosheth. Yeah. Anyway, so he says, give me my wife, Michal. My Talmud, what does that pasuk teach us? Amarav Papa, Michal ishti v'lei Meirav ishti. Michal is my wife, and not Meirav. The Meirav was never his wife. My Kiddushei Toyos.
It sounds like Rachel and Leah.
Yeah, yeah, but now Rachel and Leah was outside of Eretz Yisrael. It was a trick. It was before the giving of the Torah. There's reason for it. Here it's after the giving of the Torah. You can't marry two sisters. This is going.
Converts the sisters?
Who? Oh, is that a Hatzah? Maybe. Now, when David killed Goliath, there was a prize. Whoever kills Goliath is going to marry the oldest daughter of Shaul, which would be Meirav, and it'll be wealthy. He'll give him a reward, and he'll get to marry the daughter. Well, Azal Katle, David went and killed Goliath, was the giant, right? Amar Loi. So Shaul tells him, Milve islach gabai. Okay, I owe you money, and I'm a kaddish ben milve and I'm a kadeshas. Now, David is supposed to pay to get married. You have to give kedushin.
Oh, wow.
So what's David going to give? The money that Shaul owes him. He owes him a lot of wealth. So what he's going to tell Shaul is, you know what? You don't have to pay me. You keep that money and just give me your daughter, and that will be the money for the kedushin. He says, well, Shaul says, Mekadesh b'milvein and mekadeshes. Forgiving alone is not considered a good kedushin. That we learned in kedushin. So Azal Yavel Adriel. So Shaul gives Meirav to Adriel. Adriel was this other person in the story. I'm not sure his significance, his lineage. He may have been the son of.
In the case of the slave, the word.
In the case of the slave. Case of the slave.
Part in it. The time and the money was good.
No, by the slave. The money was given to the father, the slave girl you're talking about. The money was given to the father before the start. And that money was for the slave and also the kedushin. All right? The maid servant. Yeah? That money was given. The ksir, okay, he went to get, and he gave Meirav, his oldest daughter, to Adriel. The ksir, he based Tesas Meirav, Bashal, David, the Gomer. By the way, there's an interesting point of it, Daniel would point this out, that Shaul's wife was Achinoam, and David's wife was Achinoam. It's not the same Achinoam, but this confusion over here of did he marry? There's another twist on this, that maybe there was an opinion that said, oh, Achinoam. It says no, it's not Achinoam. It's the daughters that he's talking about. Okay, now it's the daughters. Okay, now we have another question. How could he marry two sisters? So it says at the time of giving Meirav to David, how does the pasuk finish over there? Gave her to Be'ez Tes Meirav Shala David. What does the pasuk say? Do you have it in your thing? Benitna Ladriel. At the time of giving Meirav Bashal to David, and she was given to Adriel. Okay, so that's what we're saying, that Shaul said that it wasn't a good kedushin. Amalei, Ibois, if you want that noch Michal, Zelaisli Me'al Splishtim. If you want my second daughter, Michal, then go bring me 100 foreskins of Plishtim. Now Shaul was hoping that David would get killed in the process. So this was already, Shaul was already had that bad what was it, melancholy, but had this like spirit that came over him once David was crowned.
So after
He was jealous of David. It was anyway. So Azal isolates. David goes and brings it. Amalei milva pruta eslach gabay. Now he says, "Okay, I owe you money, but you also brought me a pruta. A pruta means a small coin. But you gave me these foreskins of the Plishtim." So Shaul saver milva pruta daita milva. Shaul says that's still not a good kedushin, because if you have you're forgoing the money plus a pruta, you probably intended that the marriage should be with the loan, forgiving the loan, and that doesn't work. David saver milva pruta daita pruta. It's like halachic discussion over here. It says no, that giving the loan and the pruta, it's on the pruta. Okay. Iba Yasema, if you want, you could say the Kuli Alma Milva Pruta Daita Pruta, that everyone holds that it would be a good marriage if there was a Pruta. Shaul says, what you gave me was worthless, the foreskins. David it's good for the dogs will eat the meat or whatever.
I understand, but he gave him a pruta besides that.
Yeah,
So
but
it's
there's a
irrelevant.
question. There's a question if daita, if what the intention of the wedding is. You know why we don't use a stone in the ring? We don't have a gem, because maybe the intention is for the gem, and the gem may not be really worth it. So we take it out, because the intention over here, what am I getting? When you're giving two things, the question is what the intention was on. Okay, stop. We're up to Rabbi Yossi. I'll have to go through this.
I don't
Okay.
have that problem. I never even did.
Falling behind.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Have a good day.